Right. Ryan McQuaid with Awards Watch. Regina, thank you so much for speaking with me today about this wonderful film and your wonderful performance. Uh, I'm going to jump right in here, and I've read that you've been friends with Paul for a long time, and or some time now, and so it's got to be different than being just an actor that you've known this guy that can make these wonderful masterpieces over time, and to get the call to be in this film has got to be really something great. So for yourself, what was it like to get the call from him to be in the film, and then what was your initial thoughts on playing Deandra after reading the script?
Yeah, so Paul and I met right after at South by, right after I had done Support the Girls, which so I should say what 2017, 2018. Um and we had developed a friendship over time. Myself and his family, Maya, the kids, and so the great and we're neighbors, same neighborhood. So that was, we discovered that we lived right near each other, and then, that's how it came to be. But I had I should preface it by saying I was a huge PTA fan, right? With him being one of my, favorite directors ever. And so in getting to know him through the years, he had now then become a friend and a neighbor, and I kind of had taken the PTA label off. He was Paul. So when he asked me to be in the movie, he became PTA again. And it was like I completely was floored and so excited. Paul's movies are so unique and singular. Um, it's not like I really knew what kind of PTA film I would fit in. So I had not thought about it. I just was happy that I had gotten to know him and that he was great. Really, honestly, it's great that someone you admire, that you like. So yeah, it was pretty. I wasn't prepared. I said to him, I was like, wait, and I was like, Paul. He laughed. He was funny, but I had no idea. So I was completely surprised, but so happy.
Deandra feels a little bit of the opposite of Perfidia in terms of the way that they lead and see the revolution playing out for the French 75. What did you think of her more calm, practical approach leading this group in parallel with Perfidia, and how she wants to announce the revolution?
Yeah, I think I always imagined that Perfidia and Deandra certainly were aligned in their um in their dreams and hopes for what they would accomplish in their ideals. Um, Approach being different, but that was probably great at the beginning. And then, when you watch someone you love become a little bit inflated with power, and you see the potential destruction it could cause, but you Deandra's quiet, so she certainly notices it. um but I think, in Deandra's eyes we see kind of what is looming and the depth of what has happened, and there's a sadness because I think Deandra realizes it's the end of the French 75. The fight still must continue, but it is the end of the French 75 friendships. It's the end of her friendships with all of those people. And but 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 I love that they each have a different strength. And I love that Paul gave that to each woman. So we can see each of the females, we can see strength kind of personified uniquely in each of those female characters.
I think she sees that at the campfire scene with Leo.
Yeah, it's not looking
It- no,
good.
it's not looking good. And then I think she feels it when the cops are going after the one car that has Perfidia and they're driving away. And it's a little bit of like luck, but then her instinct is to go and make sure that Bob and Willa and herself are gone, because after that point, you know, Perfidia's turned them all in essentially at that point. She has to fight and make sure that everyone is protected, and then she goes into hiding.
And that's
And
the first baby that's been born in the French 75. So
yeah,
Charlene is Charlene slash Willa is really, that's a special baby. And I think for Deandra, I think as soon as that mean, I think the first time you see it is in the car when that when the police car passes, and she made it. And you're absolutely right. It's understanding though that it's all destroyed in that moment. And yeah, the next you have to get Willa to say, well, she was Charlene at that point, but Charlene,
Yes, yes.
you got to and Pat to safety. And I think, and you can see that kind of where, so that I think I love what Paul did, because in that, in talking to him, discussing, you have to know that she has the weight to see that she would actually be the one that would come back and risk her life, 16, 15 years later to save Willa.
Yeah, she's playing defense at that point, as Sensei would say, and then later she's going to play offense to go and save Chase. And that's when you sort of you reemerge into the picture, and you kind of have this like Obi-Wan Kenobi-esque. You're like just kind of come in and save the child and rush her off, and rush her to safety from the bad guys that are coming to the high school. And this is when you get to work with Chase. And you talk about creating the dynamic between each of you as these total strangers, really. Because when the last time she saw, she was a baby, and putting her in the front seat of the car 16 years apart, and building that trust within the characters of like, this is a young woman, who Deandra would protect the world for at this point.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think she understands. Deandra has the fortune and misfortune of understanding how dangerous Lockjaw and this situation is. She understands that Will is in a serious danger, and that she has one moment to save her. I mean, there's not a lot of time. I mean, you see them running out of that high school into the van. It's within moments of the raid that happens. And I think, Deandra just has the full scope of what's happening. And luckily, she hasn't been getting high like Pat. But she remembers the passwords and and every place that they're supposed, you know what I mean, the rendezvous points. She remembers
She
everything.
knows where to go.
He
He's
knows where to
lost.
go. He's lost. She probably has an idea that he could be lost too.
Yeah. I like it when she's like, your dad, he'll remember. He knows where to go. And probably in the back of her head, she's like, no, I've got this. I'm going to take care of all of this.
Oh, right. You're right. She's like, "We're trained for this." I guess the truth is they haven't been in contact. I guess the truth is when they went into hiding. It was over in that moment.
I think she knew where he was, and they
Absolutely.
were. And
Absolutely.
and so that's why it's a little like I said, you're like Obi-Wan Kenobi, because like Obi-Wan's afar and he can see I know where Luke's at. I
Definitely.
know where Will is at,
They all
but
did. They had that kind of underground internet. It's like
mm,
even Somerville, who
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why what I'm saying is you're a Jedi, and
yeah.
and Disney
Jedi.
should pay you for
I
it.
love
There you
Jedi.
go. There you go.
Andrew the Jedi.
um, there's a great scene, and I think everyone, including when I took my mom to this movie, if you're a little bit older, you wanted to do exactly what Deandra does. She gets really pissed that that damn phone is in and she throws that out the window. How many times did you have to shoot that? And was it kind of thrilling to like chuck a phone out the window when like, because she seems really just mad. And there's also like a little smile that Chase has that Paul puts in the film too. So there has to have been like a little bit of satisfaction, as Regina rather than as Deandra, for just like chucking that phone out for what it does to your character on the page.
Yeah, I mean, really. I mean, it's like she lied, and it's like we're gonna die. Like I'm here. I'm here to save your life. And it's kind of like the thing with youth when they just don't understand. Like, what can I make you see to get it? But yeah, it was gratifying. I think we had like 5 phones, maybe four
Okay.
to
Will you
chuck.
like go to Verizon and get some more? Where you're like, "Well, come on, Paul, we can get it. We can get. I can chuck it in many different ways."
I know. And I think those phones were they were not the fancy ones. I feel like
Yeah.
like on that version of a but of a flip phone that they had back in the day. No, it was kind of fun to throw it out the window, but it wasn't like a roll down, so it was like a You had to really.
It was you had to really throw it.
Yeah.
You had to chuck that thing out of there. No, I love it. No, that's why I was like, my mom threw a phone out when I
Did
was a kid
she?
because I wasn't behaving. Yeah, she threw it out like long time ago, and and then she realized what she did, and she's like, "Can we go get it?" I'm like, "No, it's like on the highway right now." Um, the one thing that while she is saving Willem, she seems to be like also in those moments with at the Sisterhood of the Brave Beaver, she's struggling a little bit with the regrets of her past and the relationship maybe she has with Perfidion and whether she wants, but she's also struggling about keeping this revolution alive. And so, could you talk about like the internal battle that she's facing still, while she's saving whatever is left of something that might have already passed and everything like because she Sister Rochelle says that you still got a lot of fight in you,
Yeah.
but the fight might be over at a certain point.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly over for Sister Rochelle. You know,
Yeah,
Rochelle is like, I don't have that. I'm not that committed. I think it's many things for Deandra. I think it's the fight is still there. The love is still there for French 75 for Willa. And I also think there's a there's a bit of guilt because she also recognizes what Willa does not know, that her mom was a rat. There's what you carry when you know the truth. And I
yeah,
think she knows the truth. I think she's just a believer. She's an idealist and she just hopes and that there's a piece of Deandra that it can't give up. I
yeah.
don't think that she can allow herself to believe that there is nothing she can do, which is why she just can't walk away from it. She can't walk away from Willa, even though, well, she's either in a prison or shot somewhere now. I can't imagine it went well for her.
Yeah, because that is one of the most heartbreaking moments of the film is when Danvers is interrogating her, and she's lost this fight, and then likely going to be put in jail or even worse, and we never see her again. Can you talk about the pain of facing being so close to, as he puts, as the goal line, and also working with James Ratterman in that scene? Like he's terrifying throughout this film, but he's even more so, I think, in that scene with you, because you know that it's over at that point. Like Deandra knows that it's over, and we don't see her again, and it's completely heartbreaking because she's given everything to save this young girl.
Yeah. I think in that scene, and there was something really, there's something he says, actually, when we shot the scene, she's there. I actually hadn't planned to play that scene that way at all. I saw Deandra that she was going to be tough, but right when the scene started, Paul did something where I heard gunshots, and I thought, Deandra, she failed. She failed. I don't know who those shots were for. I don't know if it was Willa. I don't know if it was some of the nuns whose life was in like it just that feeling of like. And so when he sits down and he said, "You fumbled the girl," I think it's that feeling of like it's heartbreak because you failed. Like
Yeah.
and I think so. Deandra is, and she doesn't know. And now what will happen with Willa? Like she took her to a place that was open on all sides. Should she have made it was more secure? They were there. It was just was too much. It was just, and so I think there was guilt and there was sadness, and I would imagine there would have to be some sense of fear. Like now
Yeah.
what? Because he was pretty cold. He didn't look like he was gonna
I was gonna give up. No.
no.
You're part of this great ensemble, so I wanted to ask you two questions to wrap up. One, you're part of this great ensemble and crew and everything with Paul here, but you're working with all these great actors, both in the past and in the present. So I wanted to get your thoughts on what it meant to be a part of this ensemble, but also, I know you're about to do Scary Movie
I'm
6. So,
done. I've done Scary
oh, you're
Movie.
done Scary
I
Movie
just
already.
left days
But
ago.
I was curious what Brenda would have thought of Steve Lockjaw and the Christmas Adventures Club.
Oh, Brenda. Brenda with the Christmas Adventurers. She probably would have had some words for them, I think. I think Brenda wouldn't have been shy. I think Brenda would have been quite outspoken. Um, and then if it got dangerous, she would have just thrown Cindy under the bus and been like, she
She's
said
one for y'all. There you go.
no. She would have said she would have unlike Deandra protecting Willa, I think she would have sacrificed Cindy.
Yeah. Yeah.